The Legend of Zelda, quite possibly one of the most consistently good video game franchises of all time. Sure, there are others that come close, but there are none that are as good, consistent, innovative, and just revolutionary. While not every Zelda game is a smash hit by any stretch of the imagination, there are very few, if any, bad ones. And I could possibly name a few games in the franchise that could have very well changed the course of gaming history in some aspects. In layman's terms, The Legend of Zelda is objectively one of the best and one of the most important gaming franchises to ever exist, and anyone who knows their shit when it comes to gaming history, or anyone with half a brain cell for that matter, would echo my claims. So if such a groundbreaking franchise, it had to start somewhere, and that starting point would be The Legend of Zelda for the NES.
Released in 1987 for the NES, The Legend of Zelda sold over 6.5 million copies worldwide, receiving great critical reception at the time and still enjoying a certain level of praise from many fans and critics alike.
With this game, there's very little I can say that hasn't already been said by pretty much anyone who's ever picked up a controller, so I'm not exactly breaking new ground when I say this game is fucking great, but what exactly makes this game so great?
First off, the story. If you've played any other Zelda game, it's a pretty standard affair in all honesty, since it's been recycled and retold in a few different ways, but the plot is as follows. Ganon and his army take over Hyrule. Ganon steals the Triforce of Power. Zelda, the holder of the Triforce of Wisdom, shatters it into 8 pieces and then gets kidnapped. You, Link, are interested with collecting the pieces of the Triforce of Wisdom, defeating Ganon and saving the Princess Zelda.
This story is very obviously a simple one, but that's not a fault of the game. If anything, it's a strength.
Why is this a strength? Well, until Breath of the Wild became a thing, this was really the only Zelda game that basically let the story take an almost complete backseat and just chucked you into the game like, okay, you see that? That's you. Now go nuts.
With this method of storytelling, the story is minimal yet somehow still as full and infinite as a modern JRPG.
You see, you can take this game at face value, but I imagine for a kid in the 80s who didn't have the luxury of using a guide, this was a huge grandiose adventure for him. You see, the protagonist of the Legend of Zelda franchise is called Link for a reason. It's not just a dumb name the developers came up with because it sounded cool. No, the name was chosen because Link, being a relatively silent protagonist, allows the player to project themselves onto Link. Like, hey, I'm the guy on the screen. I need to save the princess. I need to save Hyrule. I need to defeat Ganon, and this is my adventure. Link was named Link because he was a link between the game and the player. The character may be silent and kinda boring, but it gives a player room to use Link as a vessel, which can help them immerse themselves in the game.
Yes, I know this is a fairly obvious thing, but for those who didn't know, well, now you do, I guess.
When it comes to controls, graphics and sound, there's not really much to talk about. It's all a fairly standard affair. The controls work for a fairly limited 2D action-adventure game for the NES, so there's no complaints there. The music, while pretty good, can get annoying after a while, since you'll be hearing the same few tracks over and over again. Pretty fucking awesome and iconic tracks, mind you, but they can still get annoying. As far as the graphics go, they're pretty good. I've not played enough NES games to give an accurate assessment of what this game is like graphically compared to its contemporaries, but regardless, I'll say for an NES game, the graphics are pretty fucking awesome, all things considered. Honestly, I'd forgotten how clean and crisp and just good looking some of the animations and sprites are. Now, maybe it's just because I'm playing the 3DS Virtual Console version, but regardless, the graphics are pretty damn good.
Okay, so with that stuff out of the way, let's address the elephant in the room. This game is pretty fucking hard.
Zelda 1 is a fairly manageable game in all honesty. So there are some difficulty spikes here and there that'll prove to be quite challenging, but as a whole, most of the game's difficulty comes from how downright cryptic the game can be. It's not the end of the world because in this day and age we can get a complete in-depth guide at the touch of a button, but back in the day, I imagine this was a very big hurdle for most young players.
And I imagine anyone who's like myself, who's pretty much completely against using guides unless it's absolutely necessary, is probably just shuddering at the thought of using a guide for an entire game. But the sad truth about this game is, if you're hoping to get anywhere, you're going to have to use a guide. It's not the end of the world, of course, but do I really want to stare at a separate screen every 5 seconds just so I don't miss an item that's compulsory for progression in the game?
As a whole, there's not much more to talk about with this game. The world and dungeon design is pretty sound, and as long as you have a guide, progression in this game is fairly straightforward, so that's cool, I guess. I mean, maybe this is an underwhelming way to end the review, but honestly, this is one of the games you should definitely experience in your lifetime, but there's really not much to say about it that hasn't already been said.
So with that, I'd say you should pick this game up, but be aware of what you're getting yourself into, because it is pretty dated. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, share, all of that good shit. It just helps me get that one step closer to being able to do this as a job, which is ultimately what I want. Thank you for watching the video, and yeah, I'm going to be working on some second channel videos. I'm going to reboot the second channel, make a separate second channel because I lost access to the old one. So yeah, hopefully I'll get around to that, and once I do, I'll have some videos up. So if you're into music in any capacity, feel free to go check that out. I'll have a little something for everyone. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I've got a couple of new reviews coming. Sorry for the messy schedule, but I'll hopefully sort that out soon. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'll probably leave the handle somewhere here. And yeah, I've been XYZCruncher. Stay cool, stay safe, stay crunchy. I'm out. Peace.